Jack is the whole and then Cat is like the extra bit because of how masculine I was when I was just Cat.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm 100% a girl anymore, and if you're not a girl, it's kind of hard to be a lesbian, if that makes sense.
Bigender, agender, trigender, gender fluid, genderless. For centuries, we've used the word gender to tell if you're male or female. Seems simple? Not really. This is Gender Stories, and I'm Charlotte Fisher. I'm 21 and I'm female. I'll be talking to young people in and around Lincoln about how they describe themselves. And it's not just male or female. Here at the Scene Pub in Lincoln is a Thursday evening in March. Around 15 students from the University of Lincoln are meeting, and they're all members of the LGBT+ Liberation Group. They represent lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender and other groups.
I think it's great because I've made some of my closest friends through the LGBT+ Liberation Group, which I don't think I would have met in everyday life through my course or through any other outside activities. So it's definitely increased my social life, and we generally have the best nights out as well.
Yeah, making friends, confidence, and just like being more out.
Huge group of friends made very quickly and easily. Learnt so much stuff about different gender roles and sexual orientation, stuff that had been mentioned before in the past, but everyone's just sort of like, I don't know what that means, but now it's been explained and you sort of understand more about yourself.
So we've held a few guest lecturers events, so that we've had the drag queen come in and do a talk that was really interesting. It was about the history of drag. We also had a trans woman come in who transitioned when she was 60, and so she talked about she's developing a business at the moment, and she's talking about her experiences within the business community as well as in the LGBT community.
One of the members is Kat. She's got short blue hair, is 22 and studying psychology at Lincoln. She was born a girl, but some days she is Kat and sometimes she becomes Jack. This is called being gender fluid. According to the Gender Diversity website, gender fluid is a term to describe someone who does not consider themselves a fixed gender, like male or female. Kat explains gender fluidity as like having two different personalities.
When I'm Cat, I feel a bit quite feminine and it's quite nice and floaty and stuff, and I'm generally a lot more open with emotions, things like that. And as Jack, I feel a lot more secure in myself. Like, I can walk down the street and I just don't care what people think about me, and it's like just being very comfortable and very chill, and I can sit back and not have to kind of be a part of everything because I'm like more comfortable in the way I am as Jack.
Kat used to live in France, where she first realised a change.
First time was when I was 15, and my friend turned to me and went, "Bet you can't dress as a guy every day for a week." And I was like, "You are on." So I did, and then like a couple of months ago, we had the drag social at LGBT.
A drag social is an event that the LGBT groups do together where you dress up as the opposite sex and go out and have a bit of fun.
I went to the drag social. People didn't pick up on me for a while, and then people saying, "You look so comfortable in it." And I just sat down with my mate and I was like, "I need to tell you about this. I need to really kind of let you know about this because it's kind of weird." And I didn't have the word gender fluid. I thought it was like a drag king thing. It's like I'm comfortable and this and that and the other. But there was, my three experiences were basically the first time that I dressed up, the second time for the drag social, and coming out to my friend. I do have still a bit of kind of gender dysphoria. It does upset me sometimes when I kind of look at this. I've still got the boobs and I've still got everything down there. But I know it's not to the point where I would transition. That's when I was like, this isn't transgender.
Gender dysphoria is when someone experiences discomfort due to their gender. It is usually referred to someone who is transgender, but also someone who is gender fluid.
And the first thing was drag king, because I looked it up and I was like dressing up as guys and it's comfortable and it was like a show to put on. I was like, yeah. And that's how I first came out.
Drag king is the opposite of drag queen, so where a woman dresses up as a man.
I think it was the week before the first talk that we had. We did just a little short meeting on gender and sexuality.
I went to one of those talks myself and it was very educational. The evening I went, the talk was on the other groups that LGBT represents.
And I was sat there with my mate, and first one comes up, like agender, and then you've got like transgender.
Agender means without gender, someone who doesn't identify with any gender at all. Transgender is the term used when someone identifies with the opposite sex that they are biologically born with.
And it was gender fluid. And it said maybe male, female, mix of both or neither, kind of changes throughout time. May change pronouns, different personalities, and it's not a fixed kind of gender, but it's a mix. I just felt my mate lean into me and give that kind of smile, and I was like, oh, shut up.
I met Jack through the LGBT Society, and he was also Jack on the day we interviewed him. I've yet to meet Kat, but Jack is very open about who he is and why.
One of the very, very strange things that I've found is Jack is never late. Kat tends to be a bit more kind of touchy-feely, emotional. I kind of bring it back a bit. Her voice is also all over the place. It's up and down, the intonation, the hands are everywhere. But as Jack, it's very, very chill. Taking everything, new experiences are less scary because I feel more secure in myself. I can sit here and I'm binding and I'm sat just very comfortably, and it's like, okay, nothing is gonna hurt you here. Just sit there and do it. The gender fluidity thing is you can feel male, female, in between, neither or both. It's where you feel you fit, but it's whatever feels comfortable for you. Don't let anybody say, oh, but that's not masculine or that's not feminine. Just be who you are at any time that you want to be. And you will feel confident. Don't worry about what people have to say about it, because if you know yourself, you don't have to label it as gender fluid. You are you. Don't let anybody define you unless you want to define yourself.
This is Alison. She is a third-year student doing psychology. She is going to explain what all these terms mean a lot better than I can. How do we define non-binary genders?
It's basically any gender that falls outside of the categories of either strictly male or strictly female. So non-binary genders aren't necessarily just one gender at a time.
What kind of genders fall under the non-binary gender umbrella?
Some examples are like agender, bigender, gender fluid, demi-genders as well. And I think one thing people don't tend to often notice is that non-binary genders can include sort of male and female within them, but because there is another aspect to that person's gender, that makes it non-binary. It's very individual.
Have non-binary genders always existed and we've not known about them? Or is this something which has emerged recently?
In plenty of other cultures, non-binary genders are just a part of their culture. For example, in a lot of North American tribes, there's a gender called Two-Spirit, which, that's a experience of being non-binary specifically within North American culture, like Native American cultures. In India, there's a gender called Hijra, which is similar to being a transgender woman, but because that's existed within India for centuries, that is its own thing. The gender binary itself is a social construct, and that we've sort of come up with over the history of humanity, really. So that would be the idea that there is male and there is female, and that's kind of it.
This is Izzy. He is 19, has short hair, and I met him at his home while he was eating McDonald's. At the minute, he regards himself as being genderless, progressing towards becoming transgender. He has also gone through the formal process of changing his name and gender identity at university.
My name's Izzy. I was born Isabel Hannah, but I've recently changed my name just to Izzy. I was obviously born a girl and I have a girlfriend, so for the past 5 years I've identified as a lesbian. It's only sort of recently this year that I'm kind of breaking out of what that means. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm 100% a girl anymore, and if you're not a girl, it's kind of hard to be a lesbian, if that makes sense.
So unlike Kat, Izzy doesn't feel like he is both genders. Izzy feels as though he has no gender, or that he may be transgender.
I suppose if I was to try and put a label on my gender, it would be somewhere in between being completely gender neutral and just not having one, to potentially the other end of my spectrum, which is being transgender, like female to male. So from my experience, I have days when I wake up and I genuinely forget I was ever born a girl. I can go about my day until it gets to maybe lunchtime at work, and customers will call me sir or call me young man, and I don't even notice sometimes. And then there's other days when I just don't feel attached to any gender, and then there's days when I'm with all my friends who are girls, and I feel like one of the girls, if that makes sense. It's something that actually changes daily for me, so I've never really put a label on it. I have a GP who knows how I'm feeling, but they know that I don't want to take any medical changes yet. They know that I don't want to take testosterone until I finish uni, really, because I'm happy as I am at the moment. And I don't want to make any changes like that, but the things that I do need to change are things like my name. The things that I have started to change are going through a deed poll, which is changing your name legally. But basically I've spoken to the uni about it, and the uni have agreed to change my name on the university system as long as I can get the deed poll sorted by graduation. But I am now Izzy at uni, which is brilliant.
Not a lot of people will know, but changing your name is often quite hard in the UK. For Izzy to change her name, he needs someone he's known for 10 years, is a homeowner, and isn't a relative. I think we'll all find that a little bit difficult.
They've taken the gender off my forms as well, so whereas it would be male or female, it now says other.
There are actually only a few countries in the world that allow passports to recognise someone's gender as other or X, such as Australia, New Zealand, Bangladesh, Nepal, or Denmark. As of 2015, politicians in the UK have been working on getting a gender mark X for UK passports. Other is obviously quite a difficult term to be recognised as for a lot of people, as it's quite demeaning. The word other is defined as being different, and this highlights the difficulties these people have to face.
For me, I've never really had the parental support, but I would say talk to your friends before you talk to family. Speaking to family makes it so much more difficult because they've known you for 20 years or however long you've been alive, and they just want to look back on your childhood and be like, oh, but you were this little girl or you were this little boy or whatever, and it's really difficult at first for them. So I'd say you definitely need to get the support network of your friends who've known you for maybe a few years first, and then obviously they can help you in talking to family. It doesn't need to be a medical thing until you want it to be. You can be transgender for your entire life and never go to a doctor about it if you don't need to. It really doesn't need to be anything official. As long as you're comfortable with your name and how you look and your haircut and all of your friends support you, that's all you need. It doesn't need to be anything scary and official unless you really, really, really need that because of your gender dysphoria.
Both of these stories have definitely helped me understand a lot more about something I knew quite a lot about. Everyone goes through things differently, and no one should define who you are other than yourself. We would like to thank all of our contributors. And if you are affected by any of the topics mentioned, please don't hesitate to go to the support groups such as the LGBT+ Liberation Group or the Gender and Sexuality Group for help. There is also the LGBT helpline. Call 0345 330 3030. And the LGBT website has lots of information and advice about seeking support. Go to lgbt.foundation/get-support. I'm Charlotte Fisher, and this is Gender Stories.